images be accurate, the aspect ratio is what's important here, and 480 by 360 calculates to a 4 by 3 aspect ratio. All of these photos are 4 by 3. Now, let's add a source set attribute. Inside of it, we'll list the images that we are offering the browser as choices. It's a comma-separated list with a URL to a file, a space, the resolution, like 2x, 3x, 4x, 1.5x, whatever, a comma, and the next one. Now, the browser will swap out one version of this image for another, based on what it thinks is best. This is a great solution for providing different size images to handle Retina and high DPI screens. But what about handling different size images based on the layout, based on the width of the page? Let's look at that next. In the last video, we just looked at how we can use the image element and the source set attribute to list a set of image files and have the browser decide which file to download and display, considering the pixel density of the screen. What if instead we want the browser to consider the width of the viewport and to choose a file based on the size of the screen as well as the density? Let's look at a demo. It's very similar to the one I just showed in the last video, with 4 images listed inside of a source set attribute. But this time, instead of saying 1x, 2x, 3x, 4x, we'll tell the browser how wide each file is. 480W, 960W. That means 480 pixels wide, 960 pixels wide. Now, the browser will dynamically choose which image to display based on a combination of device density and viewport width. This is not going to pick the right size image for the layout that you have. It's choosing the image based on an assumption that you need the image to be 100% of the viewport width. So why? Well, this system is designed to be fast, and for the browser to make a decision about which image to download as early as possible in the page loading process. It chooses the image file before the CSS has been parsed and before layout has happened. So the browser has no idea what you're going to do with that image. It doesn't know what the size of the box is going to be where the image is going. If we know the image is going to be a lot smaller than the width of the whole page, we probably want to add more information here for the browser to use when it's making its choice about which file to grab. Here, I've used CSS to make this image half the width it was in the last demo. But the browser is still loading the bigger files. We don't need so much data, so let's tell the browser when to use the file. We'll use the sizes attribute for this, listing which size image to use at which media query.
I thought it was display equals.
You can see now that the second photo looks just as good, but it's using the smaller files. It's using the files that are the right size for the layout that we have. HTML has a lot of power when it comes to providing options to the browser for downloading different size files of the same photo. SourceSet gives you 2 options for communicating to the browser that there are a set of images available to use. You can specify which images are for which resolution of screen, or you can indicate which image has how many pixels and let the browser choose an image based on the combination of screen density and viewport width. The sizes attribute gives you a way to specify for the browser how much of the viewport's width that image will take up at which breakpoint. In every case, you're giving the browser information in the HTML so it can decide intelligently which image file to download, especially considering the network conditions and the user's preferences. In the last 2 videos, I showed you the source set and sizes attribute for the image element and how they can be used to provide multiple image files to the browser and let it decide which one to load and display. In all of those examples, the image itself, the photo of a dog, was the same photograph. It'd been saved as many